I remember sitting in my car for 20 minutes being like, I don't want to go in. I'm going to do it. I don't want to do it. And eventually you're like, okay, now I can go. I know it's going to suck. But the more I think about it, the worse it becomes.
He's an IFBB professional bodybuilder, the Mr. Olympia, and the Arnold Classic, placed in the top 10 3 years running, Ben Pakulski.
What's going to serve you well as you age in business, in life, in marriage is the character you've developed along the way. That is established through your hardest moments. So I was one of the biggest humans on the planet. If you look at me now, like, oh, there's character there, there's wisdom there. And none of that came because of the muscle. It came because of the person that was willing to go through all those challenges and struggles to get there.
People will have this wave of motivation and seem to stick to it for a couple of weeks. And very often something happens where they fall off and they find it difficult to get back. Did you find any common patterns or trends as to why people would fall off and lose motivation?
So there's 4 areas that limit us.
Now, before we jump into today's episode, I just want to mention that this podcast is brought to you by me and everything that I have built to help you guys level up. If you want to transform your physique, build muscle, lose body fat, build strength, then you have the Thirst app. This has everything inside that you could possibly need to get yourself in shape, to hold yourself accountable as well. I also have the Digital Playbook, which is a step-by-step guide to help you guys build a following, monetize the following, and also build a strong personal brand. This is everything which I have done over the past nearly 10 years to allow myself to live a life of financial freedom and also geographical freedom. I can basically do whatever I want. Life is good. And I also have my newsletter, which has been revamped, where I'll share exclusive podcast insights, my raw thoughts on business, fitness, and much, much more. So if you're interested about any of those, check out the description. You'll find the links to all of them. Now let's get cracking with the episode. What's up, guys, and welcome back to First Things First. We have the big man, B-Pack, in the building. How you doing?
Dude, loving life, living the dream.
It's funny, we meet again. This isn't the first time we've met.
No, yeah, man. We had some good times in Dubai.
Yeah.
Got a couple workouts in and grabbed some grub.
I think the first time was actually in Nottingham when you were doing something with Mark Coles at M10. I showed up. I don't think I spoke to you much at that point. This was years and years ago when I was living in London. And then obviously we met in Dubai. I think it was 2019. We did a leg workout and trained strength and fitness. You made me wake up at like 5 a.m. or something to do an absolutely horrendous leg workout.
I would do that. I'm a terrible human like that sometimes.
And then there was another time, I think 2020, it was around the pandemic, I think, or just afterwards. We filmed some content. We did a mid-delt training session and also rear delts.
Yeah, and you're still looking incredible, man. Staying in great shape. Body feels good.
Oh yeah, feeling good. I think now it's kind of got to the point where I can do sort of the least amount of work possible in order to get maximum results. Yeah,
I think that's sort of the shift that often happens for guys later in life. I always joke that, before you're 30, you train with your balls, and after you're 30, you train with your brains. Mm-hmm. And like at some point, you're like, oh, I can do this really effectively and still get the same or better results than I ever have before. And that a lot of guys have to make that shift, and they sometimes struggle doing the same old things. So hopefully your message gets heard.
Yeah. And you were absolutely massive at one point. When was it when you were at your biggest, would you say?
So my best was 2012 and 13. Those are my best placing. So like biggest is often not the objective, right? For many guys, biggest is the objective. For me, it wasn't. It was like, I want to be the best. Mm-hmm. So bigger wasn't always better. It was like, how do I add muscle proportionately? Which is literally what sent me down this entire path of understanding the body, learning mechanics. So my best was 12 and 13. My biggest, I think, was probably 2011. I was 283 on stage and I'm about 5'10", which is big. But my waist was still in check then. And then in 2012 and 13, I had my highest placings, but I also had my 2 angels, my children. Mm-hmm. And then just shifted my priorities. I no longer wanted to be the same person.
Yeah, I think you did what you needed to do. And that's not like the most sustainable thing to be doing, to be that big.
No, and I knew that, right? And so when I started bodybuilding, I think I needed bodybuilding. I grew up with a lot of trauma. I grew up with a lot of insecurity. I lacked direction. I lacked discipline. So bodybuilding was something that I needed to develop myself into the man that I knew I wanted to become. And then once I had accomplished the things I accomplished, I was like, Yeah, there's more for me out there. I just know that like when bodybuilding ended, my life began, but I needed that. I needed that work. You know, it's the so-called first mountain, and then now I'm on the second. It's the first mountain was, you know, the development of self, the pursuit of material goods, you know, these things that most people just like spend their whole life grinding on that first mountain, trying to find out who they are and accomplish something of significance. And then what I say is now the second mountain is this. I take the spotlight and I shine it around on me instead of on the things that are outside of me, right? Whereas I wanted to build muscle, I wanted to get wealthy and all those things. You accomplish some great things, and then now you're like, oh, all of this is empty and meaningless. Where's the actual direction in life? And for me, that's the internal journey. Like, how do I become the type of man that I want to be in this world for my family, for the world, make an impact, right? Rather than being selfish.
It's been inspiring to observe the change. I remember when I had my studio in Newcastle and I was kind of getting into the like full-time personal training, you were one of the guys that probably had the biggest impact on my approach to training, both with my clients, but also with myself. I think you were the person that introduced the concept of tension. Like I'd never really thought about it when I'd been lifting weights for the first few years when I was training. But the moment I started watching the videos that you were putting out on YouTube, like that really changed the game for me and how I would approach my sessions and what I was thinking about when I was doing each of my working sets.
Yeah, it's funny now to think back, but it's like I was kind of the OG in that space.
You were the OG, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people have sort of taken it, adapted it, and created their own versions of it. And oftentimes it's not a better version. It's like a divergence away from what's actually effective. But I credit everybody for, you know, doing their best and trying to understand the body at a deeper level, because it only makes everyone better. It's funny because when I started my business in 2011, my goal was to be the catalyst for intelligent muscle building in the world. And I think we did that. I think we were certainly the catalyst. Now this is huge contingent of YouTube stars and people all over the world who are perpetuating some version of this intelligent muscle building, which is like learn your body first, optimize tension, select the right exercises, and make sure that you're as present as you possibly can, because the opportunity is not in being mindless and gritting your teeth and running through the wall. The opportunity is, how can I be as precise and specific as I can to get the most out of the least, as you so eloquently said to start? Yeah.
What do you think of the current state of the fitness content which is floating about on social media at the moment?
You know, I'm just at the beginning of restarting my YouTube channel presence from 2014, maybe 15 to now. I've basically taken a hiatus, and I throw stuff out from time to time, but not really anything intentional. It's just kind of like gets thrown out. So I've been watching a lot of the big names. I've been watching a lot of people with big followings, and some of them are fantastic. And what I'm seeing though is people are so fickle. Like if it's not highly produced and, you know, like scripted and like you got to have a cut every 7 seconds, you lose people's attention. So like good information is sort of being sorted against, right? So like certain people in the world will always want the best information, but a really large contingent of the world is selecting for attention span. Like if you don't have more than a 7-second attention span, people are out. So that's really challenging as someone who's a creator to change how I approach my content for 7-second intervals. I was like, whoa, this is interesting. So I like long form content, right? I'd rather sit here with you and have a great conversation about depth rather than breadth. You know, I think depth is rare. Breadth is, I think both are valuable. You know, the idea of being a deep generalist is great, but, you know, I love the deep conversation. I love the deep exploration, and most people just don't care enough or can't handle it.
Yeah. Like I've experienced this myself when I would go and shoot with one of my guys, and we would specifically be shooting short form content. And I'm trying to talk about or break down a topic that's quite complex in 20 to 30 seconds. And it's like the most frustrating thing.
Yeah.
And I almost have to dumb it down a little bit for, you know, the younger audience who are also watching.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. Like I've always been a fan of the long form. But as you said, like people's attention spans are just getting shorter. And
yeah, it's a tough game to play because as creators, we want to be successful. We want to make money. We want to have impact. So we have to play the game, and we're getting away from who we are, you know, our true selves, which is a tough thing to play because you start changing your content. You're literally changing who you are. You're changing the direction of your life. So still trying to find a balance. I don't know what that looks like, right? I'm literally just starting. I've been maybe creating content for like a month or something again. So just like getting in like, okay, how do I take this really complex thing and dumb it down to 4 bullet points that I can say in 30 seconds or 90 seconds? Like, I don't know. But I suspect over time, that part of our brain will start to develop and it'll just be second nature. Now the question becomes, do you want that to be second nature? Were you thinking in these 7-second snippets? We'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah, I think it can also help to work with somebody who just really understands the current state of social media, so that you can both combine your skill sets and just dominate.
I suspect some AI, if it doesn't already exist or will soon exist, to say like, hey, here's my complex topic. Tell me how to say this in 90 seconds or less. And then you're like, act as Mike Thurston. Say, tell me how to say this in 90 seconds or less. And like, here's the 7 bullet points. Talk about these. Here's the hook. Talk about that. Because there's obviously this like YouTube format. But I suspect very soon, if it doesn't already exist, there'll be some AI that can take any video you've ever created and turn it into something that's like, short form.
So I want to dive a little bit deeper into your early sort of businesses that you had and the success that they have experienced. Because one thing that I admire about you is your stuff when it comes to the gym, the science and the training, but also you're very dialed into the business side of things as well. So what were the early businesses which you started?
Yeah. So I just view myself as a builder. Now that looking back in my life, I just like to build stuff. So like first you build your body and then you're like, oh, next logical thing is business. So I think I'm more as committed or more interested now in business than I ever was in fitness. Cause it's just like, it's this endless game that isn't ultimately taking away from your health like bodybuilding for me did. So the first business I created was out of necessity. So it was 2011. My girlfriend at the time got pregnant. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm having a child. And I was doing very well with sponsorships. But as you know, sometimes as an athlete, sponsorships can be very fickle. If you place poorly, if anything happens, boom, sponsorship's gone. And so in any second, I literally, my first contract ever, I was making $8K a month. I was not even a pro yet. And, they pay me for 6 months, and the 7th month I get a call and they're like, hey man, we can't pay you anymore. It's just gone. So you go from living like, I'm making 100 grand as I was probably 24 or something, 23. I was like, cool, that's great, to 0. And you're like, oh. So that was a beautiful warning to say like, hey, you need to do something because my child's coming now. I'm like, I can't get in a situation where I don't have any money. So I started this business. I literally sat in a chair. It's kind of a funny story. I bought a chair, beautiful, comfortable chair. And I sat there for 6 weeks, probably for 12 hours a day. And I wrote a 220-page ebook. By the time I was very heavy, I was 310 pounds. So by the time I was done that 6 weeks, the chair was sideways. Because I was sitting there, fall asleep in the chair. I just sat there all day. So by the time I was done, I wrote an ebook, which ended up being MI40 Foundation, which is like my foundational program, which millions of people around the world have done.
I bought it.
Hey, thank you, man. Appreciate it. I mean, it's funny because like I'll walk down the street in Okinawa, Japan, and everyone will be like, oh, Ben Pakulski, I brought your program. And I'm like, God, I've been in the most obscure places. And so millions and millions of people have done that program. And that was probably the one that sort of started it all. And if anyone read any of the PDFs and books, that was sort of like, hey, here's how I approach training. And we did very well with that. And that sort of grew organically from 2011 to 2015. I didn't have to do anything because I had a good following and there was tons of word of mouth. And we just did really, really well. But eventually, like anything, it runs out. So everyone's like, hey, what do I do next? So I created MI40 Extreme. So I was looking for new follow-ups because this, no program is perfect. Programs are just situationally useful. Like what's the context? And so the program I created as MI40 Foundation was, what do I think could be most useful to the greatest number of people? And so I was like, well, this program is going to work for people if they do it. And they did it. And people got great results and they liked the videos. So I created a follow-up, which was, at the time, the only thing I knew was harder. So I'm like, we'll make it harder. And harder was a progression model. And, one version of harder is like time, right? So we can progress intensity.
4-second negative.
Yeah, we can progress time, right? So I'm like, okay, let's progress time. So let's slow these people down. And that was a means of progression that worked. And so everyone's like, God, that one tend to sell probably even better than the original one. So those two were super successful. And then from there, I started branching off into other things because, as you'll understand, I love muscle building. But what I realize is if I set the objective of, if you were to hire me as a coach today, you say, Ben, I want to build muscle. My objective is 100% success. Like I don't fail. So we're going to go at this together and we're going to achieve our goals. But yet you still have people who are falling short. You still have probably 50% or more people who don't accomplish their goal because they fall off. I take that personally. So it allows me to start looking at, well, why are they failing and how can I give them the success they're looking for? I take people's wins and losses very personally. So if you come to me and I'm only getting 50% success rates and 50% of people are getting some results, but not great results, or, 80% of the way there and they quit or they get distracted. I'm like, okay, what do I need to do as a coach? Because I take that personally. I'm like, that's not their fault. That's my fault. So what do I need to do? So I started going into, well, is it brain chemistry? So I studied brain chemistry, and it's like, is it hormones? I studied hormones. Is it stress and recovery? I studied that. And so you're like finding all these different tools that if someone comes to you and go, hey, I'm not following through, I don't have the motivation. Well, motivation is not a motivation problem. It's an energy problem, right? It's energy and progress. So like I can solve that, so my brain is always looking for, like, I don't take no for an answer type thing. I'm like, I'm going to figure this out. So that's just branched out into, a wide array of different arenas in performance. And so, people now see me as a performance guy. So, I work with professional athletes, executives, entrepreneurs as someone who can optimize performance. And performance doesn't just have to mean as an athlete. A lot of the guys I work with are executives and CEOs. So performance can be, what's your brain doing right now? How's your energy right now? How well are you tolerating stress, right? So we're looking at all those parameters of performance. So that's my primary focus now to answer your question is I work with a lot of incredible men around the world, only men. No fault to ladies, but it's just, women are just a different breed. It's just so complex. So that's my primary focus. And then I've expanded that to teach what I do in a certification. We're branching now more into medical longevity. So we're doing some like TRT, medical telemedicine type stuff. But it's all sort of in the arena of this men's optimization.
Did you find any common patterns or trends as to why people would fall off and lose motivation? Because I think it's safe to say realistically, if somebody wanted to get themselves in shape, like there's enough information out there for them to figure out some sort of a basic training program, clean up their diet, and just do that for a reasonable amount of time. Yet people will have this wave of motivation and seem to stick to it for a couple of weeks. And very often something happens where they fall off and they find it difficult to get back into that routine again.
So I have two answers to the question. They're sort of separate but related. So there's 4 areas that limit us, right? So if you think of like, we all have this, what I call functional capacity. Like we can operate to the ceiling and no more, right? Currently, we can change the ceiling. We all have a ceiling. There's 4 areas that I think influence the ceiling. First one is your physical ability. Makes sense. Second one is your energy. Third one is your ability to tolerate stress. And the fourth one is your mindset. So we have these 4 areas that if you can think like, if I'm physically limited, like if your knee is swollen, you can't do the things you want, it's going to limit you somehow, right? If you have a mindset that's limiting you, like you have a ton of fear, well, then that's going to limit you. If you're not resilient to stress, like stress happens and you go into a state of panic and overwhelm, that's not going to work. And then energy is the obvious one. Like if I doubled your energy today, everything you do will be easier and more effective. So those are sort of your 4 pillars of performance. And so the first thing I'm doing is I'm saying, well, which one, Mike, is limiting you? And so if we can start unlocking these 4 areas of performance, we can start giving people a higher ceiling. Because what happens so often is people will come in and be like, Ben, I want to lose 30 pounds. Cool, easy, no problem. This is math. This is very easy. But they can't do it. And they're like, oh, I'm not able to get to the gym. I'm not able to do the workout. I'm not able to do the diet. Well, one of these 4 areas is limiting you. And if I improve one of them or improve all of them, then your capacity goes up. So you're like, like think of a CEO. They can reliably and predictably take on so much and fall through. Like, oh yeah, I know that if I give them a diet, I give them a workout, I give them whatever, they're going to do it. If I give them a task at work, they're going to, like, these people are reliable, like a Navy SEAL, like a CEO, super high functional capacity. Some people have a very low functional capacity. So if we objectify this idea of functional capacity, we'll just make these 4 things more effective. We improve your functional capacity. So that's massively changed my ability to be successful. So the first thing I address with people is we assess these 4 areas through something I call the human optimization scorecard. We create a scorecard. I'm like, hey, I need to know how you're doing in these 4 areas. And if I can identify the bottleneck, we make immediate changes. The other half of that equation, why some people fail, is values. So if you've ever studied values, sometimes people will set goals that are out of alignment with their values. For example, if I value my family above all, and I set a goal to do something that's going to take away my time from my family, I'm more likely to fail because unconsciously, I want to move in the direction of my values. So we all have a value hierarchy, a hierarchy on which we make decisions. So if I have a value hierarchy that is in one place and I set goals in another place, just because I haven't aligned goals and values, most people will fail. Not all, but most. So those 2 things are how I create 100% success with the people I work with. it's like I can objectify your progress, right? So, and we do everything from studying genetics to studying blood, to studying urine, to studying stool, to doing all the testing. So we can optimize the internal physiology to optimize energy and recovery. So yeah, there's sort of a long-winded answer to the question.
But which one of the four tended to be the most common?
Depends on the niche. I'd say guys who get older or people who get older, it's energy. Because, often, if you ever get to the gym, you're like, I don't have energy to train today. Or like, I didn't have it there today. It just wasn't there. Like, okay, if I increase, and energy can be thought of in terms of amplitude and duration, right? So if I have enough amplitude, I'm probably going to be able to run, sprint, jump, fight, train. If I don't have enough duration, it's more like, well, I get tired in my workout, or at the end of the day, I'm super gassed. I can't keep going.
Yeah.
So I'd say energy's a really big one, but there's probably a million people out there going, well, mindset is a really big one for me, right? So I would say like all of them can be limitations based on different people at different times. I think physical capability for many people as well. Like, if you think of the one thing that's probably the single most important thing for you to do in longevity, it's move well. Because moving well improves your brain, improves your energy, improves your resilience to stress. So it's hard to pick one.
Yeah, I think the energy one is something which I've not struggled with too much. I think the mindset one, which was the most interesting to me. Because with my approach, and it always has been my approach, I think ever since I started training when I was like 17 or 18, it's always been the priority each day. Like it's the thing which going to the gym comes above everything else. And even when I'm traveling, I will literally go out of my way, even if it takes like half a day to find a gym and
find
to
the
go
best
and
gym.
train. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a mindset that hopefully you can transfer to your audience, because like you, when I landed a new place, the first thing I'm going to do is find a grocery store where I can buy glass bottles of water and organic produce, generally an organic meat. I'm like, okay, prioritize food and then prioritize training. And then if you do that, now your energy is greater, your focus is greater, your body feels better. So your productivity in these other areas are greater. And it's just what I call an operating system. You land in Miami. First thing you do is find yourself some great food, find yourself a gym. I'm going to guess. I could be wrong, but it's probably somewhere in that vicinity. Yeah. And most people don't. Many people are like, oh, I'm going to go and grab a drink, or I'm going to go and grab some crappy food, or I'm going to go and take a nap. And you're like, hold on, change the operating system. And it takes energy to begin. It takes effort. But the operating system is changeable, and we're just like rewriting the software.
Yeah. So you're based in Tampa.
Yep.
How often are you traveling at the moment?
As little as possible, but way too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when you're traveling, what would you say is the biggest struggle which you come face to face with?
I don't know that I struggle with anything, man. Like I think I've just found ways after all these years to figure it out. Like I know it's important, right? I put the first things first. And I'm like, I know that if I have the energy, everything else will be easy. So for me, it's like, are you sleeping well? Are you hydrated? Are you nourishing your body well? Like at a base. So as soon as I land anywhere, I do the same thing. I actually, before I get there, I'll either have somebody send water and organic food to my Airbnb or hotel room, or the first thing I do is like, I'm going to find an organic grocery store or a place where I can get glass bottles of water and organic food, because I know that's the linchpin, man. For me, like if I have that, my mind is strong, my body is strong, my ability to tolerate anything is strong.
So for people who are looking to optimize their health and well-being, what would some of the main changes that you would advise these people make?
Everyone's so different, Mike. I would say, for me, it's energy. If I have the energy, everything else is easy. For some people, it may be like mindset. It's like, what can we do to optimize mindset? So you have to look for those linchpins in your life that can help your brain operate well. And the crazy thing I want people to know is that the brain and the body, or the mind and the body, are not separate. And so many people think of these things like, oh, the mind and the body are separate. I'm like, hold on. If you tell me the last time you worked out, did you feel better or worse afterwards? And it's like, well, I always feel better. So what's the operating system you can create? That's probably the reason why you are so committed and probably addicted to training, is because you know that if I do this, I'm better, unconsciously or consciously, right? So for some people, it may be like, well, walk. Go find a place where you can walk in the sun, or go to the gym. Like find something that brings you joy. And I believe all humans, no exception, can and should enjoy exercise. You just haven't found the right one for you yet, or you haven't adopted the right mindset in the gym. It's something I teach a lot, is so many people dread workouts. And I'm like, you should never dread a workout. You should create a workout that you're absolutely excited to go to. And if you haven't yet, you just haven't found the right coach. Because it's one, what do you hold in your mind when you're doing it? Two, what do you feel like when you're done, right?
Mhm.
And so if you're doing things that are constantly hurting you, like causes huge amounts of soreness and pain and joint pain, of course you're going to hate it. You can't start there. Like you and I are addicted to it. So we love that. We love when we're like, can't walk for 3 days after a leg day. Most people hate that. Most people don't even want to feel the burn. So like you can't treat people the same way, right? If you and I train together, I know you're willing to get up at 5 a.m, get your ass kicked in a leg workout. But if I meet some random person on the road who's like, hey, Ben, I want to coach with you, I would never invite them to that. I'm like, when's convenient for you? When do you love to train? So I literally use those words. I'm like, I want you to love this, not just like it. I want you to love it because this is the best investment in your life forever. Like if you can learn to love training, love nutritious food, love moving your body, everything's easy.
Yeah. Because I think back to some of the sessions which I had. These are like very memorable leg sessions, which I used to have in my 20s. And I mean, they were unnecessarily intense for the results, which I wanted to get. Like, I wasn't competing. I wasn't trying to get like the biggest freaking thighs in the UK. But it just so happened to be the case that I would train with, with these ex-professional bodybuilders who would go destroy themselves for like an hour and a half and 2 hours. And with a lot of the content which was going out on YouTube, everybody seemed to think that, okay, that's the way you have to train. Like you have to be in the gym for 2 hours. You have to literally be pushing yourself to failure to the point where you're literally going to throw up. And I think that's what it pushed a lot of people off it. And even myself, I remember thinking, damn, is every leg day going to have to be like that?
Right.
And well, if you're going to compete and you're going to do Mr. Olympia, then maybe that's the level you need to push to. But for most people who are just looking to look athletic and look good, there's not that requirement to literally have to destroy yourself.
So there's two sides to that answer or to that question, right? So the physical requirements are certainly not to do to that level, but what benefit does it provide to push to that level? Like I think there's maybe an unspoken benefit that people just don't acknowledge is the person you're becoming in the process. So the reason I train, the reason I work hard is not for the end result. It's the person I'm becoming in the process. So my natural unconscious tendency to avoid hard work, my natural unconscious tendency to be lazy, I can overcome that every single time I step in the gym. This is a big part of my mission and message. It's like, who are you becoming? The workout is like, I don't give a shit if you build muscle. At the end of the day, you want to build muscle because you want to look good. Great. I don't care about that. What I care about is the man you're becoming in the process. So are you someone who's willing to face the hard stuff? Do you have the emotional resilience and the mental resilience to move through something that's challenging? So every time you were going to the gym, knowing that this is going to, I would get anxiety going to the gym. I'm like, this is going to be terrible. I remember sitting in my car for 20 minutes being like, I don't want to go in. I'm going to do it. I don't want to do it. And eventually you're like, okay, now I can go. I know it's going to suck, but the more I think about it, the worse it becomes. So how much of a metaphor is that for life? How many times have you thought about something an enormous number of times just to go, God, if I had just done it, I wouldn't have been so bad. It's always the thinking that makes it worse. So in our mind, like I think there's a massive opportunity for people to realize, are those hard workouts necessary for growth? Maybe, maybe not. Are they necessary to build your mind? Maybe, maybe not. The benefit is there if you're willing to move through it. And I think the greatest thing that I got out of bodybuilding is not the body I built or the $7 trophies on my shelf. It's the man I've become along the way.
Yeah, I always remember whenever I had those sessions, afterwards, I would feel this huge sense of accomplishment. And it definitely 100% built discipline. Whatever else I had planned for the rest of that day or the following few days, it was easy. Because it was like one of the hardest things I had to do, I'd already done.
Yeah.
So everything else was relatively not that bad.
I don't know how much you interact with children, but the young humans that I get to interact with, the young generation, hard to call them anything as far as generalization, but they certainly have, I certainly notice a tendency for them to avoid anything that's difficult. And I don't know if that's always been the way. Certainly I was like that when I was a kid. But there's a really big opportunity for guys of our generation to lead that generation by saying, hey, the hard work matters. Is it necessary to build muscles? No, but go do the hard work.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, when you're 40, 50, and 60, nobody gives a shit how big your arms measured when you were 25. Nobody cares. What they care about is your character. What's gonna serve you well as you age in business, in life, in marriage, in everything is the character you've developed along the way. That is established through your hardest moments, not in, oh, hey, I had 26-inch arms. Don't care.
Yeah.
Right? Don't care. Nobody cares. Like, look at me now, right? So I was one of the biggest humans on the planet. And everyone's, I know, I'm like, hey, my arms are 24 inches. Like, nobody gives a shit. My legs were 35 inches. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. But what they look at me now, like, oh, there's character there. There's wisdom there. And none of that came because of the muscle. It came because of the person that was willing to go through all those challenges and struggles to get there.
Yeah. I remember recently, this was, I think, towards the end of last year, Kevin Levrone was in Dubai, and we arranged a training session. So I was expecting to go in there and do some sort of, cool bicep, tricep, shoulder workout. Because that's what he was kind of known for, his delts and his arms. And then he put me through this, it was like an hour and a half, just pure body weight, high rep leg routine. Which at the time I was like, why is he making me doing this? And then I realized, because it was absolutely horrible, dripping with sweat, but I wasn't even lifting any weights. It was just purely body weight. And I realized what he was doing, he was putting me through a mental test.
Yeah.
And as horrible as it was after that session, I felt pretty good. And it's one which I'll remember for a while.
It's funny. My reputation in professional bodybuilding during my competitive years was pretty ruthless. And anyone I would train with, I would intentionally just dismantle them. Like I wanted you to feel like I was superior when we were done the workouts. And this psychological warfare was always relevant in my mind. So what I would do, it sounds like similar to what Kevin did, is I would find your weakness. Because some guys are stronger than me. Some guys are bigger than me. Some guys have better endurance than me. But there's something that you have that I can identify, that I can exploit, that's going to make you lose, and I'm going to win. And you're going to know that I'm going to be standing over you talking shit, and you're going to know that I beat you. And I lost a lot of friends along the way. I don't say it was the best idea, but this is how I operated, because I knew that if I was going to stand on stage beside this guy, he needed to know that I was superior.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to train with as many guys that I could and use these tactics. And if you ask anyone I train with, I was intentionally trying to hurt you. And not
these weren't people you were coaching, you were just training partners.
Training partners. Yeah. Or other pros. You'd be like, hey, I want to catch a workout. I'm like, all right, let's go.
Okay, bro.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah. And so I took a lot of pride in, one, being able to work really hard. Two, being able to beat anyone that I trained with in the gym. And certainly there was times when I didn't, but I would say 9 times out of 10, I was very intentional about we're going to do something you're going to quit before I do.
How did you know what somebody's weakness was?
When you understand the body, one, a lot of it was just I can see, you're not good at this, or, you're strong, but your endurance is bad, or, you're weak. So let's go do that. Or
so you would have to either see them train for a little bit beforehand or study how they train.
No, your body says everything about you, man.
So straight away.
Right away. Yeah. Right away.
Okay.
Yeah. And one of the things I would often do with guys is I'll do 2 sets to every one. If I'm doing 2 sets to every one of yours, psychologically, I'm superior. And you're gassed and you can't get your breath. You're laying on the floor. I'm like, hey, I'm doing another set. And I would lean into that a lot. Just because I was in excruciating pain, but I would never show it. I'd be like, I'm never going to show you that I'm dying, but I'm going to keep going.
Yeah.
Because what I realized is our bodies are so much stronger than our minds, right? In general, I'm like, I know I can do another set. I don't want to. I want to go lay down on the floor just like you are. But me seeing you over there makes me stronger.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go back here and do this again.
How do you build that mental capacity to tolerate pain, discomfort?
You make it joyful. You make it something you seek rather than something you avoid. So as an example, I still teach this now. In a set, most people, when they feel the burn, when they feel the discomfort, they become afraid of it. They become we need to stop. It's uncomfortable. I would seek it. I'm like, yeah, there you are. Give me more of that. I want more of that. That's the good stuff. Give me more of that. I put a big goofy smile on my face. And it literally trains your brain to love the experience.
Mm-hmm. Who was the training partner that you had that handled it the best?
Mila Sarchev. He's a psychopath. He's a psychopath.
Yeah.
We would do, man, I would literally bring my girlfriend to the gym to wipe my face and pour water on my mouth because I couldn't reach my mouth. But I'm like, I'm not going to stop. There's no way I'm not going to stop. Like, you're not going to beat me. I remember I think we did one workout, we did 17 consecutive back exercises without resting. And I was on like number 10 and I was throwing up in my mouth and swallowing it. Throwing up my mouth and swallowing it. True story, man.
That was his idea.
Oh, yeah. He's a psychopath.
Is he still training like that?
Yeah. But he's 60 years old now, so he's not doing the same, but he's still in crazy shape, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that guy, for sure, nobody comes close to me. And the reality is, we know it's absolutely unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like, I knew that while I was doing it, but I still wasn't going to stop. I'm like, let's go. That's funny. Milos was a really serious trainer back then. And I brought one of my training partners with me, like, I trained with since I was like 19 years old. And because he was a huge fan of Milos. Yeah, dude, come, we'll do a workout. And Milos kicked him out of the gym.
Well, because he was
complaining. He's like, I can't do this. Milos, get the fuck out. He goes, he looked toward there, he went at the door. He goes, get the fuck out. I'm like, all right, man. But I love that shit. Like, that's how my brain operates. I just know that society doesn't generally like that as much.
Well, it's not often you come across people like that.
No. And someone who's not going to take it personally.
Yeah.
Like, because the first thing he said when I met him, he's like, hey, man, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to make you better. And like, that statement to like pre-qualify our relationship was, he's like, outside the gym, I'll be your friend. In here, I'm here to make you better. And I was like, yep, let's go.
Because most of the time now I like to train by myself because that's an opportunity for me to zone out. And you call it meditation, call it whatever you want, but I like to do that. And I know I can push myself to the level that is required to get the results that I want. And a lot of the time now, especially as your profile grows, your following grows, more people want to train with you. You can't train with everyone. You've got to be a lot more selective. So now, if I'm going to train with anyone, I want them to be that borderline psychopath because I want to be pushed and I want to learn something.
So the framing I always take in my mind, I don't always share this, but it's like, am I making you better or are you making me better? Because if I'm making you better, you're going to pay for my time. If you're making me better, then we're on the same page, right? Because I know I'm going to make everyone I train with better. That's always my objective. But if they can't make me better in some way, meaning like I'm learning something or they're going to push me in some way or having a great conversation, like, it has to be a two-way street because our time is really valuable, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I don't sell my time anymore. I don't do one-to-one sessions at all. But like, if I were
Even if you, no price. Surely.
So here's how I operate. So I have currently 12 clients. And it's a very high ticket and they pay for the year. And if they come to town, I train for free because it's included.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it. So I personally work with 12 guys, high-end executive CEO type guys. And I do everything for them. I treat them like professional athletes.
Yeah.
And so if they come to town, then they're just part of the family, right? So they're we treat them like family. And I have 10 coaches that work under me. And if someone wants to work with them, then there's a cost.
Yeah. All right, guys, quick pause here. I've got a question for you. How is your summer physique coming along? We're only a couple of months away before you will be gracing the beach, the pool. Are you in shape? Are you not in shape? Is there work to do? Most likely. If so, I have the tool for you, which is going to help you out massively. It's the Thirst app. This is something which I personally use myself when it comes to my training and my nutrition. I have all the programs in there which I use on a regular basis. And for those who are just looking to lose a bit of body fat, the same thing goes for women as well. A lot of people don't realize that I used to coach for a large chunk of my life. So all of my coaching experience has been put inside of this app. I want you to learn as much as possible about how to get yourself in shape. There's exclusive videos in there telling you how to do it, how to execute exercises properly, the foods which I eat, and a newly added nutrition section where you can track your meals and your daily macros. It is pretty much this pocket-sized version of myself, which you can carry around with you all day, every day. So if there's something which might interest you, which it definitely will do, I highly suggest check out links in the description, head over to the Thirst app, get it downloaded. You will not regret it. Now let's crack on with the episode. So I don't know if you remember, and it has been quite some time, but is there anything that stood out to you about the way I trained, which you saw as a weakness or something that could be improved?
Well, this specifically, the leg workout, you worked hard. I'd say the shoulder workout, this is going to offend the shit out of you, but I was surprised how bad your form was for shoulders for a guy who was as big as you are. I was like, man, and I don't say that to offend you, but like, the opportunity to get better was massive. And
well, shoulders has always been the weaker point.
Yeah. And that's the thing with everyone is like, if you have a weak body part, it's not because you can't, it's because something's wrong in the way you're doing it.
Yeah.
And so like, as soon as we corrected a few things, I don't know if you still continue to train that way, but I was like, oh, your shoulders are going to get massively bigger. Cause like, I sort of knew you, but didn't really know you when we trained that time. And I was just like, you're obviously, your body's fantastic, right? So it's like world class. I was like, oh, you're going to be like dialed in on everything. And like most of the body part stuff you were, but shoulders, I was like, oh, there's a huge opportunity here. So I think we did a few things, and hopefully you got some value.
You know, I keep going back to those videos, and analyzing what you were saying, and it's really hard when I'm training by myself to think of all the different things that you were telling me to do. Man, even just the, too much elevation.
Right. I could probably teach it to you in a simpler way now. It's been quite a while. So I've obviously taught it way more times than I care to talk about. And I could probably simplify it down to the, first principles.
Yeah.
We'll do it after the video.
Do you recommend people who want to get in shape, do they need a coach, or is it something they can do by themselves?
Successful people condense time. So all the most successful guys I meet, they pay to condense time. So if I want to read a book versus paying the author $500 an hour for his time, I'm going to pay the author, right? And I think that mindset is one that I find unique in really successful men. So the answer is, if you're someone who craves to be really successful, or you are successful, you already know the answer to that question, is you're going to pay whoever's going to give you certainty and condensed time. So that's why people come to me. Like, hey, we'll do it in the shortest amount of time possible. So the answer is, if you want to do it on your own, you're going to learn more, but it's going to take you a lot longer. You struggle, and struggles are great. Struggles are important. So I don't necessarily say you need a coach. You can certainly do it on your own, because getting in shape is incredibly easy. Staying in shape is a different thing, because now everyone's just doing, GLP-1 agonist, semaglutide, and you can get a rhinoceros shredded on that stuff, right? So what's the thing you're actually trying to accomplish? Well, you're trying to rewrite your identity, your beliefs, and your operating system. So like, I need to change my identity, what I believe about myself and what's possible, and what's my daily operating system. So what do I do around food? What do I do in my lifestyle? What do I do around training? It's just an operating system. So from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, you get an operating system. So we have to rewrite that. And not everyone thinks that way. Like, they always do the same thing they've always done. So if you have to change it, you literally need someone to come in and tell you, nope, not that there, do this there. So I literally do a 16-hour audit on all my clients. 16 hours is the number of hours you're generally awake a day, give or take. And then I want to see, from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, how you're spending your 15-minute intervals. And if we're like, hey, right there, you did this, let's change that to this. Can you do that? Yep. And so we get verbal agreement, and that makes a shift. So we're looking in their day for these little opportunities to change the operating system. So I'm not just giving them a diet, like, go on your own, giving a workout, go on your own. No. I need to change everything about the way they handle stress, about the way they optimize energy, about the way they recover, about the way they think. Because if I can get a snapshot of your day, or if I can spend the day with you, I can be like, oh, right here, don't do that, do this. Something as simple as like, oh, you decided to go do this walk indoors on a treadmill, I want you to go outside. Could be something as ridiculous, simple as that. Or right here, where you're waiting for this, I need you to do this little stretch. Or you're brushing your teeth, do 5 minutes of stretching. Or let's do some breath work for 3 minutes before you eat. And so we're literally attaching these new high impact habits with things they're already doing, and giving them higher profile operating system.
How do you choose who you're going to work with? Because I imagine there would be so many people that probably have the money to pay, but are they going to commit? Because I remember when I was a coach, the thing that used to annoy me the most is I would tell them to do something, and when they don't do it, I'm like, well, what the fuck do you expect?
Well, that's a different problem to solve. So the reason people don't do things is not that they're not capable; it's that they've unconsciously or consciously made a decision to not do it. So what's happening in that moment? So if at 5 p.m. you're supposed to go to the gym, but instead you decide to go have dinner with your kids, or you decide to go have a drink with your buddies, what you've done unconsciously, you've decided that thing was more important. For whatever reason, you've prioritized this over that. So instead of me condemning people and going, what the hell's your problem? I go, talk to me about what happened just before you made the decision to not do the thing. And we're like, okay, well, this. So oftentimes people are solving for, I feel anxious, so I want to eat some food, or I feel anxious and I want to go drink some alcohol, or I was really busy and I couldn't do it, I had to go do something else. And so if you value money, let's say you want to be really wealthy, but you tell me, Ben, I want to get in shape. If wealth comes up, an opportunity, say someone calls in a business deal and go, Mike, we're going to make you $5 million today, man. You're like, fuck the workout. I'm not doing the workout. I'm going to go have this call. You've made a value decision, right? So you've said this thing over here is more valuable to me than this thing over here. You're like, okay. So then what do I need to do to make sure that we can still fit this in, even though when those things come up sporadically, because they're going to come up. If somebody calls you every day to make a couple $1 million, you're going to take it, provided you value money. So maybe we just like, well, can we move the workout to first thing in the morning when nobody's awake, or we know someone's not going to come and hijack your time. So like, man, after 9 a.m., you fully expect, unless you're really protective of your time, that something in your day is going to get hijacked. You're like, someone's going to call, something's going to happen. Like if you're really, the most successful people protect their time for sure, but most people don't. So you're like, okay, if your time is getting hijacked, we need to put this in a place where it's not getting hijacked, or you need to protect that time in such a way that you're like, hey man, this is all that I do during that time, right? If you know that the meal is at 12 o'clock, you tell everyone, no, I can't do anything at 12 o'clock. This is what I do. And so that's really how we navigate that, is let them become aware of the fact that they've made an unconscious or conscious decision to value something above that. Nothing wrong with that. What we need to do is make sure that doesn't happen again, or change the operating system. So move that thing somewhere else in the day where it can be executed.
Yeah. So then it'd be safe to say that if being in great shape or health is not one of their top values, it's something that they're probably unlikely going to achieve.
Correct. So what you can do, and what's been really successful, is connecting. So I call it creating a bridge between the thing that they do value and the thing they're trying to do. For example, if you say to me, Ben, doing an hour of cardio every day is going to extend your time with your children. It's going to give you better quality time. It's going to allow you to run and play and jump with them. I'll do it every time because I value my children above all. And if you say, hey, this thing over here is going to give you more high quality time with them, if I have pain around the absence of quality time with them, like, I'm not getting enough time with them, I want to have more years with them, well, then that's an easy win for me. I'll do that all day. If you say, hey, Mike, you getting to 5% body fat is going to make you an extra $1 million a year and you value money, you're like, yeah, and I'll do it all day, right? So you always, it's like literally an equation, like a scale. So I need to say, what's the thing I value and how can I make this thing fit into that value system and not feel like it's taking away from it.
Yeah. What are your top values?
Family, growth, and now, health and wealth. So historically, I didn't always value wealth, which is interesting because I think I had some unconscious trauma stuff around money, which a lot of people do. But I look at money differently now. I think about
People
money.
doing trauma around money. They feel like they don't deserve it.
Don't deserve it. Yeah. So do you ever have anyone say to you like, money is the root of all evil? More money, more problems, all those like common things that people throw out. I had all those. So like all the things coming from my family, it was just like intertwined in everyone. So I was like, I don't need money. I've always had enough and I don't need an abundance of wealth. Whereas now I view wealth as empowering. Like I can do more of the things I want to do with the people I want to do them with and ultimately give more back to the world. Because I always took, many people do this. You take this, what you'll call selfless approach to money. Like, I just want to give value. I want to help people. And so you hear every coach in the world go, I just want to help people. You're like, bullshit. You have some stuff around money. So because if I give you $100 million, are you going to help more people than if you have $1,000 in the bank? Yes. So this mindset around money is always some type of fear-based, inadequacy-based belief system.
I have it a little bit. I want to be more motivated to make more money.
I've got the guy to fix it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should have him on the podcast. His name's Elliot Rowe. He's based in Utah. He's actually a British guy. He's a hypnotherapist. Sounds wonky, but it's very legit. And he works with like Bay Street, or like Wall Street. He works with poker players, professional athletes to change their belief system and their identity around stuff. He's a stud. Get him on.
When did it change for you?
When I work with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
But did you go to him for that reason?
Yes.
Because you wanted to change?
I had a lot of, I hate using the victim words. I had a lot of trauma in my childhood because it's all awesome. Like it all made me who I am. But I had a lot of shit. Like it took a lot of baggage with me from my childhood. And so I spent a lot of time, probably did 7 or 8 sessions with him. That all just helped me unwind like all of the belief systems. And I've done a lot of psychedelics. Yeah, which helps also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you want to get into it too much, but like what kind of shit did you go through?
As a kid?
Yeah.
How long you got, man? We got a couple more hours. Here we go. Mike opened the can of worms. Yeah. So, there's the stuff you remember and there's the stuff you don't remember. And I hate, I don't want to throw anyone under the bus. I don't want to be like, talk bad about anybody, but everyone in my family is an alcoholic. So I grew up in a family of alcoholism, chaos, crazy explosive fights. Think of my house like just complete chaos. It was like a war zone. Like every day there was somebody drunk. Every day there was somebody fighting. There was lots of fighting around money, lots of fighting around lots of stuff. And so that became what I believed a house was. I was like, oh, this is what, I didn't know you were allowed to like your sister. This is absolutely true. Like I hated my sister. And I did. And I didn't know that I was like supposed to love my sister. I didn't know that. And so when I met people who were like, actually loved their sibling, I was just like, watch them in awe. I was like, what is this? Like, what is this like magic serum? Like they're drinking some magic potion. I'm like, I don't understand. To include like being healthy and being wealthy and loving people. Like didn't see any of that in my childhood. So it was interesting that, all that gets wired in me, right? I got yelled at a lot. I got told I was obese because everyone in my family is obese. I had a learning disability and a speech impediment. So I was told I was like all these limitations. And the speech impediment wasn't in fact a speech impediment. I was abused as a kid. And so I would stand in front of adults and I would shake. So if anyone was a person of authority, teachers, any adult, I would stand there and I would shake because I was too afraid to talk. So when they would ask me to speak up, but I didn't have a stutter, I would just like shake. So all that stuff had to get unwound, right? I had to work through all that stuff. And that's why I say I needed bodybuilding, because bodybuilding allowed me to work through huge, and I didn't know that I had mental trauma. I didn't feel like there was anything wrong with me. But as you start working through stuff, you see your tendencies, right? You're like, oh, I see my tendency to be lazy. I see my tendency to not want to do the important things. I see all these tendencies. And you're like, well, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. And so you have to become really conscious of the things you do unconsciously, which is why hypnosis and psychedelics was important, because it allowed me to bring these things to the surface. I always talk about like psychedelics, like the, like the snow globe. You shake the snow globe. Psychedelics for me are like a snow globe. Like you go into psychedelics and it's like somebody shaking it up. You're like, oh, here we go. It's going to stir me up a little bit, but I'll usually come on the other side more effective.
Yeah. What type of psychedelics?
How long you got?
I go, well, I'm because I'm curious. Even obviously, I've had Dorian Yates on the podcast. He's a big proponent of ayahuasca. He's a big fan of marijuana. I know obviously where I'm based predominantly most of the time in Dubai, that's like a no-go area for me, so I don't touch anything. But I am open-minded. I've tried quite a lot of stuff in the past, and I know it has its benefits as long as you respect it and don't like go overboard.
Yeah. So I've done a lot of mushrooms. I've done ayahuasca 4 times. I've done 5-MeO DMT. Done ketamine and MDMA therapy. Many of these guided with professionals and many of them not. All of them impactful for different ways. They're completely, I also did Wachuma, which is a heart opening natural cactus. All of them are beneficial for different reasons, for different people in different ways. So to choose, everyone's like, which one should I start with? I'm like, I have no idea. People who do ayahuasca or who serve ayahuasca will say like, wait for what's calling you. Like if you learn to pay attention, I believe that your soul knows the answers. So when I say your soul, like if you were to quiet your mind and just like sit in meditation and the mind quiets, there's still a voice that comes through. There's still a knowing, right? May not literally be a voice, but it's a knowing that lives inside of us. And so that part of your being, that part of what I say, your soul, knows the answers, man. I really believe that. And so connecting with that part of me has allowed me to live in alignment and authenticity and integrity with who I am and create so much more fulfillment in life. I don't solve for happiness. I solve for fulfillment, right? People are like, oh, are you happy? I'm like, maybe. Like, I don't know, you can give me a lollipop and I'll be happy, but like, I don't want to be happy. I want to be fulfilled. And I want to have like a sense of living in alignment with my true purpose and with who I am inside. So psychedelics, meditation, hypnotherapy have allowed me to connect deeply with that voice that gives me the answers. I'm like, Like I haven't done ayahuasca in years, but I'm being called to do it again. I'm like, for whatever reason, ayahuasca to me right now feels like a good idea. And for the last 3-4 years, it's like, I don't want anything to do with that stuff. So I went through a phase of probably 3-4 years where I was doing it pretty often, once a month or once every couple of months. Not ayahuasca.
Would you go somewhere specifically to do it?
Yeah. Probably Costa Rica this time.
So you would want to be in nature?
Don't do it in your house. Yeah, don't do it in your house.
That's speaking from experience.
Yeah, don't do it in your house.
Alone? Or are you doing it with people?
I've never done it alone. I've done it with shaman.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, man, nature is the way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the point is to connect with nature. I think the point is to recognize that you're part of it. Because I think as modern humans, we live so separate to it. Man, like we're this generation that lives indoors. Like I forget some crazy, like 93% of our life is spent indoors, which is nuts, especially consider we're supposed to have evolved outdoors. So like, natural air, natural light, contact with the ground, that's what makes our bodies whole. Yet we live in these concrete boxes with artificial light and artificial air, and it's like toxins and pollutants. So by going back into nature and doing plant medicines, it's been this, it's a knowing. And people don't get that word, but I can think something and I can know something. Like, many things, like I know that the sky is blue. And so when you do ayahuasca or when you do some plant medicines, for me, it's giving me knowings, which means like I can have peace in my heart and peace in my mind because I just know it's going to be okay. Like I know I'm part of this, and not everyone gets the same experience. For me, once I had a knowing that everything in life is perfect, it allows you to take this stress and just go like, oh, it's stressful. It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be hard, but it's going to be okay. You're going to make it out. And man, that was the first time that happened to me. I was just like tears of joy and bewilderment. And I was like, oh, it's all perfect. And you realize that you're not just this meat suit. You're so much more. And it allows you to connect differently with other people. Because when I look at you, I don't just look at your meat suit, man. I look at the person beneath that. And I just see you just like, you're on a journey like I am, man. We're all on the same path, just different timelines and different places in the journey. We're all doing the same thing. We start somewhere, we end somewhere. We're all going back to the same place. So it allows me to look at people differently. I don't look with judgment. I just look with wonderment and curiosity.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it for a while, particularly over the past few years. There is this fear in the back of my mind that for whatever reason, I would do it and then I would just not really care about anything and I would lose my drive. That drive to work, to achieve. I would want the ambition to remain. I wouldn't want, because I see some people do it and they just go off to the land of Loopy and just, live in a shack.
Dude, you're right. And so there's this whole segment of the world that we sort of refer to as spiritual materialism, right? Like they do psychedelics to escape something. They're just like trying to, we joke, like walk in or wear smocks and talk in whispers. You're like, they have no identity. They have no place in the world. And they've just found this like belonging in that space. That's not the objective. Alan Watts, who's a great spiritual teacher, says, once you get the message, hang up the phone. You may know Alan Watts, a British guy. And you're like, yeah, so psychedelics aren't meant to be a perpetual thing. They're meant to be like, hey, I get a lesson or a message for this point in my life, and I take it back and integrate it. And so, yeah, I think the challenge is people get stuck in the, I need more. I'm like, no, you don't. You're just not doing the work outside of it because the message is already there, right? It's just like it's like a glimpsing. It allows you to, Sam Harris says, like, once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's the thing in psychedelics. It allows you to see what is there, and now the work is in life and going to actually live in that way, right? Yeah. And so it's not, it's never taken away my drive. In fact, it's given me more drive, exponentially more drive, because now I know that having, as I said, I didn't value money. Like it allowed me to get rid of that trauma and live from a place of like, the more wealth I create, the more I can do that is in alignment with what I believe to be good. I believe I'm a good man. I believe the decisions I make are good. And therefore, I can drive more of that goodness in the world. And to me, that's important. So I pursue wealth.
What do you feel like your purpose is at the moment or for the future?
So this young kid, who is me, had hundreds of people not believe in him. And for whatever reason, I believed in myself. And once I set a goal, I just never stopped. I was like, I'm going to be this, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And I just didn't stop. And what I realized was I'm capable of so much more than I ever thought or than anyone else ever thought. And so I think my place in this world is about helping people realize that they're capable of so much more than they believe they are and showing them the path on how to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And by whatever means necessary. Sometimes you need a kick in the ass, and sometimes you need a nurturing hug, and sometimes you need a word of encouragement. And all of them are valuable, right? For a different person, different context. So man, I look at people and I just see man, you're just not living to your fullest. If you want to live to your fullest, let's go.
Yeah.
I mean, I got you. I can push you, man. I can push because I've pushed myself to levels people will never understand. And so can you, right? If that's what you want. And so when people lack belief in themselves, I'm going to find some way to push you physically, to push you mentally, to push you, to make you uncomfortable, to break through those comfort zones.
I think I've realized this with myself. Whenever I experience this, whether it's a sadness or an emptiness or just, I don't know, I'd wake up and I feel like why am I not feeling good?
Yep.
And that's usually because I know that I'm not achieving my potential. I'm not living up to how I could be living.
Or you're living out of alignment with it. So it could be both, right?
Yeah.
So if you're doing something that's out of alignment with what you know to be your true nature, I believe that's what gives people anxiety or apathy.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're one, living in alignment with it and moving toward it, because humans we want progress.
Yeah.
So as long as you know you're moving toward the right thing, generally you're going to feel great about it. You're moving away from it in any way, because maybe it's just a divergence. You're like, I'm doing this thing and I don't believe in it. Like we talked about prior to starting, we can all do supplement companies and make a ton of money, but if I don't believe in the product, I'm going to wake up every day and go, I just don't feel fulfilled, man. I got all this money in the bank, but I don't feel fulfilled. And that's where hopefully you have the ability to bring it back.
Yeah, there's two things which I do, which kind of, they conflict a little bit. So I enjoy to travel, to explore, to remove myself from the world of social media, business, stresses, things like that, and just be present in the moment in a new place, exploring with somebody who I really enjoy their company. So I'll do this, and I know it brings me a lot of happiness and satisfaction. But then if I do that for too long a period of time, I feel like I'm just not achieving what I should be achieving. I'm not creating anything. I'm not doing podcasts. I'm not creating content. I'm just living life, which I feel is kind of quite selfish just for me, when I could be sort of giving back. And I notice if I've been doing this for maybe it's a week or 2 weeks, it often happens in the summertime when overall my productivity dips, I travel, life enjoyment is high. But in terms of personal growth and development, that goes down. And then I start to kind of beat myself up, or even take a bit of my frustration out on the person I'm with, because I feel as though they're preventing me from having that alone time and doing the things which I need to do in order to progress.
Such is the polarity of life, man. So it's funny. I live that exact reality because my highest value is my family. So I want to spend every minute with my family. When I'm with my family, I do everything. I do my best to be present, meaning my phone goes away, my work goes away, and I'm just here. And I'm not perfect, but I'm doing my best. And what happens, as you can imagine, when you run multiple businesses and there's staff is depending on you, balls are getting dropped, people are getting pissed off, things are happening, and you're like, I know that's happening, but this is my highest value. So in my mind, I'm torn. And then I'll do the opposite. I'll go, okay, well, I'm going to go spend a couple of weeks deep diving into work and really get everything thriving. And then this gets dropped. And so how do you live that? People talk about the irony of, or the joke of balance. Balance doesn't exist. It's learning to go all in when I'm here and go all in, and then go back here and go all in, and realize that as long as you're aware of it and you can create checkpoints. So all right, it's time to go back here and make sure everyone is aware of the expectation. I think it's the beauty of life. There's always a polarity, man. There's always going to be a push and a pull. Because this one feels fulfilling, and in some ways you're missing something really important. And this one feels fulfilling, and in some ways you're missing something really important. Yet you can't do them both.
Yeah. There's this meme I've seen a few times. It's it says the life of an entrepreneur. It shows a picture of them at their desk on their laptop, dreaming and thinking about being on holiday on the beach, maybe having a drink. And then when they actually get that thing that they want, they're on the beach, they're relaxing, they're enjoying. Then they're just thinking about work
Right.
and missing out on doing their work. So yeah, I guess I've come to the realization that you're never going to be fully happy. You're always going to want both, but it's just finding
finding ways to integrate them. So like I'm always thinking of, if I have my family's my highest value, how do I integrate that in my business? Like, can I hire my kids in my business? Can I create a business with them? Like, can we make it one? So maybe there's an opportunity for you to go, oh, this thing I love doing, traveling, being with this person, like, how do I make that part of the business? Sounds like you're doing it now with the podcast, right? You're like, yeah, I get to travel, meet awesome people, and I can monetize it through having great conversations.
Yeah, I've realized now, like the perfect trip is going somewhere new, different, meeting lots of new people, creating some cool content for the vlogs, my main YouTube channel, but also doing some cool podcasts with people who I've always wanted to speak to, or I'm learning a lot from them. And then you kind of almost are ticking everything off.
Right.
For example, this trip, this has been one of the more intense trips. So what I would usually do is I'd maybe go, because I haven't been to Miami for years, I've only been one time. There's loads of cool stuff I want to do around here, but that's not really the priority of this trip. So I can't really do them this time around. And it is what it is.
As long as you're aware of it, you're like, yeah, I know this trip's meant to be like, I'm going to go grind. Like I just went to Vegas last week. I was there for 2 days and I went in and I was like checking tons of boxes, meeting tons of people, making a bunch of money. And then like, all right, let's go. Got to go back, and then it came out here. So, I think as long as you're aware of it and you're not dropping any significant balls in your life, you're like, oh, things are good.
What are the businesses that you're currently running at the moment then?
So we're primarily focused on scaling the men's community, which we're calling the network. So, it's not just about health and fitness. Health and fitness is one of our big pillars, but it's like connecting with like-minded people who value wealth creation, who value impact. So we're scaling that. We've got the coaching community, which is doing very well. And then we're launching the certification. We launched certification last year, but scaling it now. Those are sort of like the primary muscle intelligence focus. So I'm spending a lot of time personally just creating content. So podcasts, YouTube, Instagram stuff. And then we're branching into, we're going to build a medical longevity brick and mortar in Tampa. So like we got the gym in Tampa. I currently have MI40 gym in Tampa. We're buying another one in Miami. We're also going to do one in like a medical longevity type business in Tampa.
That one in Tampa is a serious facility.
Thanks, man.
How many square foot is that?
11,000.
Yeah.
It's not crazy. It's just the right size. Because I think if you get too big, you lose the energy. You lose like the vibe, I think the gym, we were very blessed, man. I think we, right place, right time, been there for 10 years now. And it's just great. Like it does really well. Everyone seems to love it. We're doing 10-year anniversary. We're revamping the whole gym, putting some cool new things in there. I don't love the gym business. Like I don't,
I feel like you have to have your first gym and then understand whether or not it's something you want to continue.
Yeah. I never did it as a
moneymaker.
I never did it as a moneymaker. I did it because I wanted a filming hub.
Yeah.
So I've got a beautiful gym. I've got offices for my team. I've got a classroom to teach my events, and I've got a kitchen to do a cooking show. Like that's what I've got there, But when I retired from professional bodybuilding, I had kids. I was like, I'm not training as much anymore. Not really creating as much content. I was like, I'm just going to open this place publicly. So we got a few hundred members, and it was okay. But like, it's not meant to be a revenue model. It's meant to more to be like an awesome place for us to go train because, as you know, like finding a good gym is like, especially one where you're like, I control the music, I control the temperature, I control the lights. I want to kick everyone out. I kick everyone out.
Yeah.
So I sort of, it's like, everyone's a kid. Like when I grow up, I don't have my own gym. I'm only going to invite the people I like. That was kind of me. I was that little brat.
Yeah, you need to check out the new Oxygen gym. It's by
nuts, right?
Have you
seen videos?
Yeah, like it's almost over the top how extreme it is, and it's weird because their brand is they play no music, no women can train there.
Is it bigger than Kuwait?
I've never been to the one in Kuwait, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. It's absolutely huge.
How many floors?
2 floors, but it's very spread out. So it's cool. But then people come to me like, "Hey, why didn't you open your own gym in Dubai?" And I'm like, "Have you seen the competition?
Yeah,
like the amount of money that I would need to have the ideal type of gym that I want." Because for me, obviously, it needs to be a great gym, but I always have this vision of it being on the beach or in nature, like built into the trees.
And that's what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because I wanted to do that in 2014 when I built MI40. I wanted to knock the roof out and make it a glass roof. But it was like crazy what it would have cost back then. But now I think you can do it much cheaper. But I would love to do a glass ceiling and grass floor. Nobody's ever done that. Someone's going to steal my idea now, but nobody's ever done to do grass floor in a gym. Like that would be the best. Imagine just like being able to train in the grass.
Yeah.
Like you'd have to figure something out where you're not getting like bugs and shit coming through the ground, but it'd be super fun to have a unique gym where you're sort of connected into nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How is your training at the moment? Like for somebody like you who likes to push very hard, but then now knows it's not really a necessity for overall health and well-being, how do you structure it on a week-to-week basis?
So I train now in alignment with my genetics. So sounds kind of obscure, but I've been studying genetics a lot and looking at the genetic limitations and strengths and opportunities. And so what I didn't know during my bodybuilding career is I have pretty poor inflammatory genes. So my body likes to get inflamed. Like a small amount of inflammatory burden can cause a lot of damage in my body. So the way I trained in the past would have just driven so much inflammation, right? So that was good for growth, but bad for longevity. So now I train in a way so I set the target now. I want to be an athlete when I'm 80. So that means moving well, having great cardiovascular fitness, having great mobility, great strength. It's less about muscle and more about being a great athlete. So I judge my success by like, how well can I play with my kids? How well can I play sports? I still play a ton of sports. Or I've got back into competitive baseball, competitive hockey. So I enjoy those. So that's really my North Star now. So like, how does my body feel? Where do I feel strong? Where do I feel weak? What are my longevity markers looking like? So it's more in the direction of setting this North Star of I want to be an athlete when I'm 80. Yeah. So
you're still big though. Like I feel like because of the size that you got to, it's something that it's quite easy to hold on to.
I have a big bone structure. So if I get too small, I look weird. It's an honest statement. Because my hips are big, my rib cage is big. If I lose any more muscle, I'm like, I just kind of look weird. Like it doesn't look athletic.
Did the bone structure come from?
I think it's genetic.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's genetic. So I need to be a certain size in my eyes to like look athletic. If I get too small, I don't know. I just don't feel.
Yeah.
I feel like my strength to weight ratio is not right. So I'm trying to maintain as much strength as I can while losing muscle, losing weight. Yeah, but not sort of losing.
If other people want to know more about their genetics, where would they go?
We have been studying this for quite a while with some of the geneticists from Oxford University in the UK. And so we've just created a collaboration to create a performance panel for genetics. So just looking at how should you train, how should you nourish your body, and any supplements and any limitations you may experience that could limit in some way your performance. So we don't look at disease or anything like that. We just look at performance. We're using that specifically to determine how you should train. And so like you may have fast twitch versus slow twitch. You may have, better endurance genetics versus poor endurance genetics. And that doesn't mean you don't train that. Sometimes it means you train more of it. Or in my case, like poor inflammatory genetics. So I have to train lower volume, higher frequency, poor saturated fat tolerance. So we'll change your diet to have lower saturated fat. I have that. So like carnivore is like such a big deal right now. If I go on a carnivore diet, I drive up insulin resistance and drive up atherosclerosis. So not a good idea for someone with my genetics. So I lean toward more of like a Mediterranean style diet. But yeah, so we do it all in-house. And just like we've created this performance panel, continue to try to make it better. Always looking, all the new research coming out gets added to it. So people can access that through Muscle Intelligence.
Do you, in terms of supplements, is there any specific protocol which you're following? I mean, I know there's probably endless amounts of supplements that you can recommend to people, but is there any in particular which you feel have had the biggest impact on you?
So I do a lot of cardiovascular supplements. Like there's a really specific protocol I like to follow for cardiovascular health. Most guys at some age, at some point in our life, are going to become aware of our cardiovascular health. So maintaining endothelial function, maintaining nitric oxide, maintaining great blood flow. So all those are sort of staples in my life. The things that have made the biggest difference palpably for me are peptides and peptide bioregulators. I've spent quite a bit of time researching peptides and peptide bioregulators, and they feel like a bigger lever. So I speak of things in terms of the size of the lever, right? If I give you, I don't know, vitamin C, the only time vitamin C is a big lever for you is if you're deficient. If you have normal levels of vitamin C, but you won't notice a difference. If you're really deficient, you'll see a big difference. Same with vitamin D. If you have normal levels of vitamin D, Vitamin D is not a big lever. If you're deficient, vitamin D is a big lever. That's how we look at supplements. But when it comes to peptides and peptide bioregulators, these things seem to be a much bigger lever for most, if not all, people we work with. So the difference between peptides and peptide bioregulators all come out of Russia. They're at Dr. Vladimir Kavinsin's lab. He's sort of the godfather of longevity. He's the best guy in the world. Unfortunately, he passed away
What's his
recently.
name?
Vladimir Kavinsin.
Okay.
So he passed away a couple years ago, but like he's been doing research on peptides for I think since the 70s, almost 50 years. So he's got 50 years of data on these bioregulators, and they're really naturally occurring peptides that, as an example, can target your thymus gland or target your pineal gland or target your heart, target your vascular tissue. They're incredible. So we use a lot of those in our protocols. Or I use a lot of those in my protocols. And then peptides specifically, tissue-specific peptides, depending on, I generally will cycle through different stuff. So I'm generally on 2 to 3 peptides at all times, but not always the same ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the health and longevity space is, it's already catching some momentum, but I think that is
Just
be where the future. Everybody, especially when they come into a bit of money, they want to live longer. They want to have a better quality of life for as long as possible. And even for me, turning 30, I think when I got into my 30s, but probably 31, 32 is when I started to think, hang on a second, like there is probably going to get to a point in the next few years where you reach that kind of peak physique.
Mm-hmm.
I know it can vary depending upon genetics and how well you look after yourself, but I've heard some people say, 35 is kind of when you may look your best in terms of how much muscle you can carry and the aesthetics you can have naturally. Maybe it's a little bit later.
Right, and how do you hang on to that as long as possible?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I know at some point it will be the beginning of the downhill journey, but
I think for you, Mike, it's going to be like, maintaining this body now it has to be in line with your genetics. Like it has to be like, what foods does my body want to eat? What supplements does my body need to, because like the decline is generally a result of something missing. When you're young and your body's on this anabolic cycle until you're 30, 25 or 30, everything works. You can do anything. But once you hit 25 or 30, there's certainly this point where you got to be doing all those things right. And it's not guessing, right? Mm-hmm. Someone who's got financial capacity, don't guess. Just like do the test, see what your body needs, and realize you only have to do it once. Genetics, you do it once and it's done. You can optimize over time through blood work and urine, but you do your genetics once. You could say, hey, my body definitively doesn't do these things really well. Does these things really well? I need to support this and not focus on this. Because you could spend thousands of dollars a month on supplements your body doesn't need because you're like, I'm really good in these areas. Don't need any support there. But I didn't recognize I need this one. So for example, my body is severely deficient in riboflavin and magnesium. And I also never, based on my genetics, the suggestion is like basically never go off curcumin because my inflammatory pathways are poor. I also take fish oils pretty consistently. But who would have ever known riboflavin is my deficiency? Like you just don't know. Yeah. To include methylation pathways. Do you need a lot of methylation support or a little bit or none? And so there's so many things that can be really big levers, but you'll never know with the testing.
Yeah. If you are eating healthy and doing the things that you think you should be doing, everything's going to be perfect.
Right. Until you're 30.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's often not the case.
Yeah.
So yeah, what any big plans this year?
Yeah, like opening a few business. I just love the game of business. Like I said, I love to grow stuff. Yeah. So a few cool things happening in business.
Outside of the fitness and gym space. Do you ever get into cannabis once?
Yeah, I was the chief science officer for a cannabis company that went public.
You're not in that game anymore?
No. I was never a cannabis user. It's funny because when they hired me to be the chief science officer, like I studied this stuff a lot because I know about cannabinoid pathways, but I didn't want to use it. Like I've never used cannabis. I don't like cannabis. And so I tried to make myself like cannabis. I was like trying edibles and trying vapes. I'm like, I just don't like this.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I imagine that would like slow you down.
It's not my speed, man. I tried probably 15 or 20 different times. I'm like, everyone's like, oh, you're going to like this one. I'm like, no, I don't like it.
It's not for me either.
No, not my thing. It's funny story. Prior to that, there was 2 times I smoked weed since I was probably 18 years old. Both of them were Dorian. So one time,
and he's got strong shit
totally.
on him as well.
So I'm sitting at the Olympia. I don't know what year it was, probably 2007 maybe. And Dorian's beside me, and we're at the Olympia, like at the night show. And he's like, takes out his pen. He's like taking all. He goes, I was like, "You're Dorian, yeah." So I went to, sure, man. Dorian passes you the vape. You're gonna take a haul. So that time, and then another time in Marbella, we smoked. I was like, dude, it's Dorian, like my childhood idol, man. I had his picture on my wall. I was like, sounds weird, but yeah, for sure. We've become friends now. He's a good guy.
Yeah, the two, and I've met him a few times because obviously we filmed a few videos for my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
The first one was in Birmingham. End of the session, he offered it to me. He was like, "You've got your pre-workout," and I was like, "Okay then." And then had it, went home on the train, absolutely cooked. But the recent time, I think it was last year in Marbella, we'd done the podcast. So after the podcast, we smoked up on the balcony, and I hadn't done it for well over 6-8 months, so my tolerance extremely low.
Right.
So I have a few burns on it, and then immediately like extremely high. But I had to be somewhere, like half an hour later. So I get in the car with my photographer, and then we're driving to this place, roof down. Obviously, everything's really cool, and then I was getting more and more high, and I was like, I don't think I can drive the car anymore.
Right.
Like I'm like beyond cooked.
Yeah.
So I had to get out, and my photographer had to drive the rest of the way.
Torian's special cannabis.
Yeah, he keeps inviting me down to his place, and I'm like, I cannot handle it.
Yeah.
Like it's too much.
Yeah, I think I've seen the end of my cannabis days, man. Like, kind of over it. It doesn't do it for me, man. You know, I'll do microdose mushrooms from time to time, or I did quite a bit of LSD during that short run. If you've ever done a microdose of LSD, it's a fantastic psychological experiment. You get a lot of ideas, a lot of ideation. But it's been
what
a long
are you
time.
doing when you're doing it? You just
It's a really long experience. It's 12 plus hours. So I'll do it at 4:30 in the morning. I'll get up early. I'll go for a walk or a run, and I'll walk generally. So once it kicks, like you can run for 3 hours and you're good. Like you don't feel it. I'll go home. I'll have some food. I'll have some coffee. I'll go to the gym. Then it'll be like 9 o'clock. I've done a 2 or 3 hour walk, some meditation, a workout, and I'll get home and like get the whole day in front of you. But now you're still cooked because it's 5 hours later. So you're cooked for 12 hours. But by that point, it's sort of come down a little bit. So now I'll sit down and I'll either go on my whiteboard and I'll ideate, or I'll write down. I'll write. I get a lot of writing done on
so you can still operate, but you're thinking differently, or ideas
faster.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like it's a lot of introspection, a lot of like your brain just works faster. And I'm so internal. Like I don't want to go and talk to anybody. I just want to like be alone and talk or like think and write.
So somebody comes up to you when you're experiencing that, you're just like,
no, I'm okay with it, but I prefer not to have, because I'm also very empathetic. So when I'm around somebody, if it's not the right person, I'm like, I don't want to be around this person. I get the hell out of here because I can feel it, you know? But yeah, LSD's been, it's just been an interesting, you know, because when I was younger, I didn't do any of that stuff. So I had a lot of beliefs around like drugs and alcohol when I was a kid because I came from a family of them, and I don't want anything to do with that stuff. I don't want to be those people. So as an adult, you're like, I can make this decision and not make it mean anything about me. Yeah.
It was demonized when I was growing up. Like everything was bad.
Yeah. Your brain.
But I think in my 20s, I didn't have the respect for them that I should have had. But now in my 30s, it would be done with some sort of reason and purpose. Like I'm not doing it just to have a bit of a laugh.
Right.
I'm doing it because I'm trying to better myself in some way. Yeah,
LSD can be one of those things like once or twice a week on creative days. Like if you're doing any writing, or if you're doing any like business creation, like you're trying to like you're like, hey, I want to try and find more fulfillment in my life. That'd be a good tool. It's almost just like speeding things up for you. You're like, oh, I could take a couple of days or months and think about this, but like for me, it's just sort of speeds up timelines. Yeah.
Awesome. So where can people find you on all your content?
Well, we took 2024 off the Muscle Intelligence Podcast, but we just started it up again. So that's super exciting. Muscle Intelligence Podcast, muscleintelligence.com. If somebody wants to do their DNA, you can go to muscleintelligence.com/DNA. We have a few different offers there. So do it yourself, done with us, or done for you, like working specifically with the geneticists. So depending how deep people want to go, we also do some coaching. So if anyone's interested, reach out.
Awesome, man. Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Likewise, man.